In this lesson, we're going to add the necessary actions to our button. This is very easy, and it's one of the few times I like to use Script Assist. Using this, Flash writes the proper button actions for us automatically. Select the button at frame 1, open the Actions panel, turn Script Assist on, and look under Global Functions and Timeline Control. Add a Go To action. Because we have the button selected, and you can verify this by looking up here at the left of the title bar, Flash will apply the actions to the button and not to the timeline. Now the default code that's added is on release, and we can switch to this by selecting the appropriate line. But we can also change this by highlighting the line and making a choice at the top. This is how we set things up like external mouseover effects and enabling keyboard control over this button. But on release is fine, so let's go back to the Go To and Play action. We need to change this first to Go To and Stop. If we wanted the button to send our movie to a different scene, we can make a choice here. But what we're really interested in is the frame type. Open the drop-down, and you can see that we can drop in a frame label. Select that, and now we can type in the frame labels here. When the button is clicked at the first keyframe, we want it to move the main timeline to the second keyframe. So here, let's type in second. Now, notice the difference in the code when we switch between frame number and frame label. The only difference is the quotation marks, and that's a good thing to remember if you're not going to be using Script Assist for this. All we need to do to use frame labels is just drop in the quotation marks. So the button is activated. Now we need to split it into two parts on the timeline and then modify the code for the new one. Just like all the properties like width, height, color, and so on, actions applied to a particular instance of a button only apply to that instance. Other instances can contain completely different code. So let's add a keyframe to the button layer at frame 10. Return to the Actions panel. Make sure you select the button here and don't leave the frame selected. Back to the Actions panel. And now we can modify this code. When the button is clicked at the second keyframe, we want it to return to the first. So all we need to do is change the label here. Now let's give this a test. Choose Control and Test Movie. And that's it. We've activated a button to toggle between two states of our document easily. As I mentioned, this is very basic, but you can expand on this to create an entire website. Just use multiple buttons and use the code on each one to send the timeline to as many different areas as you wish. Okay, now I'm going to save this in your work files. So if you've had any problems with yours or you want to compare yours to mine, it's going to be named buttonactions.fla. Let's move on to the next lesson.